everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Florence Amanebu. How are you all doing? Hope you all are doing great. So today's video I'll be showing us how to cut this stretchy cowl skirt. Before we go ahead, I want to appreciate each and every one of us. Thank you for supporting your girl. So I'm just showing us the fabric I'll be using. That's a polyester fabric. Is stretchy, so I will go ahead and start off by marking out my starting point, and I'll go ahead and mark my waistline, which is 37 divided by 4. I will add 1 inch for stitching allowance, and I will go ahead and map the hip line, which is 9 inches from the waistline. Remember, we're taking out the 3 inches. I will use my ruler to connect the point like so. Then I'll go ahead and impute my knee line, which is 18 inches. I will have 2 points and I will connect those points with a straight ruler. Now I will be taking the length of the skirt. The normal length of this skirt is 37 inches. But remember, we'll be having pleats in the front. That's the cowl pleat, right? So I will depend on how tall the person is. So I use 55 inches for this length. So I will go ahead now and impute the hip circumference, which is 45 inches, and I will add 1.5 inches for the hip circumference. Remember, this is fitted. If it's gonna be the one free on your body, you will add 5 inches, but because this is fitted calf skirt, so I'll be adding that 1.5. Now at the knee length, I'm just trying to shape the skirt because I want the skirt to be kind of a pencil at the down. So if you don't want to go through this process, you can just reduce whatever you have at the hip measurement, reduce it at the full length by 4 inches or 3 inches. So I will just connect those points. After shaping the skirt, I will connect those points using my straight ruler. Now I will cut it out. So to cut the back, I will use the front, place it on top of the pattern paper I'll be using. I'll just place that on top of the another pattern paper. I'll place that and trace it out. So initially I had in mind of putting zipper on the skirt, but I noticed the fabric is so stretchy that I can use elastic band, without the zipper. So initially I had the mind of putting zipper. That's why you see that allowance at the back pattern paper, but I didn't use it. I just used elastic band because the fabric was so stretchy and I didn't use the zipper. So I'll go ahead and cut out the front and the back panel like so. You can see the way it is. So now is where we're gonna be starting to draft the pattern the way we want it. Remember, the skirt will be having joining in the front. There will be no joining on the side of the skirt. The joining will be in the front. So now I just want to use the front pattern to chalk out those lines we had. I want to transfer it to the back panel, right? I'll just place it and transfer those lines on the back panel so that I will both lines will align. We are sure that the hip in the front and the hip in the back are on the same level. Just you see what I mean by that, so as to be sure that both of them are on the same level. That's why I transferred the line to the back. Now I will be putting it side by side. Remember, the two sides will be together. The front panel and the back panel sides are together. Now I'll be using my tape to hold it in place. The two sides, remember this side we are going to close it up because the joining will be in the front. The joining is going to be in the front, not the side. So I will just hold both of them. Remember the two sides of the front panel and the back panel, bring it together and you put your tape just the way you see me do, like so. You see that portion that is not closing, right? We want to make sure that it meets the side of the other panel, right? So I will open up that on the hip line. You remember, on the hip line I will cut it up so as to be able to move that panel to meet this other panel, right, the way you see me do so. And I will use my paper tape and hold it in place so as to bring it together, right? The way we'll be bringing it together right from down, we want to make sure it is together at the top also. Now we want to slash, because we'll be using slash method to do this skirt. I will be using 3.5 different distance, just as you see me do so. From the hip line I measure 3.5 and I will connect the 3.5 straight to the other panel, right? We will now connect those points using the ruler. I will keep marking out 3.5 at the line that we have ruled out and connect it with the ruler also. Just keep getting your 3.5. You can make it 4.5 depending on how much fabric you have and how you want your pleat to be full, depending on the fabric you are using. Just as I'm using my stretchy fabric, the polyester fabric, it might not really show the pleat because it's stretchy. But if you are using every other kind of fabric, when you make your pleat, it will show and it will come out. So I will just keep connecting those lines. Remember, those lines are the lines we're going to slash. We're going to cut it open. But I'm not going to cut mine open. You know, they say work smarter, not work harder, right? So I don't want to slash it and I will come and be struggling with it on the fabric. No, I will place my fabric on the table, right? But in this case, you have to be very careful not to cut your fabric, okay? So I will stretch out my fabric out and I will place the pattern on it before slashing it. You can slash before placing on your fabric, whichever one you want to do. But I just want to do mine. I just want to slash it on the fabric so I don't keep struggling with the slashed paper, okay, flying here and there. So I will just keep slashing it and opening it up like so. So I have finished slashing it. So it's now time for us to pull it wide open, depending on how much space you want to leave in between the slashed paper, right? So I will use my tape and I will measure it out depending on how much, like you might decide to have 3 inches, depending on how much fabric you have. I used 2.5 fabric for this style. You can use 3 yards depending on how much fabric you have, right? So I will now go ahead and cut the shape. You see the way the shape of the slashed paper is. I will go ahead and cut it out like so. So I have finished cutting it out, guys. Please, I'm sorry I missed the clip where I was supposed to show how I joined the two front panel. So I've gone ahead to join it and I will open it up the way you see me do so, and I will start pleating it towards the waistline. You can see it. I'm pleating it up. I'm pleating it up facing the waist side. So I will keep on pleating using my needle to hold it in place. Just as I told you guys, the fabric is stretchy, so I just have to work with what I have. So I will keep pleating it up, and I will be facing it towards the waistline. With the help of my needle, I will hold it down. I will keep doing like so. So at this point, I want to check the length of the skirt. Once you pleat, ensure to see if you are the right length or you still need to pleat it up. So I'll just go, because I want to make sure I have 37 inches length. Remember, the length of the skirt is 37 inches length. So I will measure it. I see it is more than 37, so I will pleat one more so as to make sure that I have the right length of the skirt. Okay, we are the right length, right? I will go in and sew in the middle right there where I have those needles. You see those needles right there in the middle? I will go ahead and stitch it down, go over my sewing machine, and I will stitch that down, and I will take off the needle, the pins. Just as I'm showing, I will stitch on that line. So I've stitched it down, guys. You see the way I have stitched that down. So I will follow that pleat. I will follow it to the side, on both sides. I will do one side first, after which I will do the other side. But now let's just do this first, this side right now. Okay, so I will pleat. I will be following the pleat we had in the middle that I've held down, right? And I will hold it. I will trace it to the side. With the help of my pin, I will pin it down like so. I will keep tracing it right from that middle where we head it down. I will trace it to the side, and with the help of needle, I will pin it down. I will go ahead, use pin, hold it down, and I will go over the machine and sew it. I will do the other side too. After doing it, I will bring it together and I will hold it. I will stitch it down. You see the way I will head on that side, head on this side too, and I will go ahead, bring it together, and impute my waist circumference. Taking out my 3 inches, I will input my hip measurement. And I will connect those lines, the waist line and the hip line, and I will shape the skirt down. Using the pin, I will hold it in place so it will stay like so when stitching it on the sewing machine. I'll go ahead and sew like so. So guys, this is the way it's looking after holding it together. Remember, the joining will be in the front. There is no joining on the side. The joining will be in the front, just like so. You can see how it's looking. Now the next thing I will go ahead to do is to, you can see I'm just showing us the joining is in the front and in the back. I didn't add any zipper to it because I will be using elastic band. So this is the 3 inches elastic band I will be using, and I will go ahead and measure out my waist measurement because we want it to pass through the hip, right? Depending on how wide the circumference of the hip you are working with. Okay, so I've cut out the waist measurement, which is 37, depending on how the hip circumference you are working with. So that is the fabric I will be using on the elastic, and I will go ahead and add it, and that is I've add the elastic band to the skirt. You can see the way it's looking. That is it right there, guys. Thank you for watching. See you all in my next video. Bye bye.